And no countdown or nothing. Let's do it.
All right.
So, let's see. Today we got Ian Morrison here. And let's see. According to your little description on social media, it says that you are a filmmaker, storyboard artist, writer, illustrator, etc. And from my own personal experience, I've seen that you do a lot of guest spots with our mutual friend and acquaintance, Box Office Brawler. And
Baka.
in
That's a cool name.
Box Office Baka. Yeah. So I was curious to get to know more about you and learn a little bit more about your experience, like like especially when it comes to films. Since that you're a filmmaker, so I'm just looking to learn more about you, buddy. So where did all this start for you, and how did you wind up on Brawler streams?
Well, I mean, mainly I started getting connected with Brawler through Kyle Corwith because I met him
Okay.
through a writers group a few years ago.
Okay.
Uh, I'd I've been wanting to get into filmmaking for years, never really took off, but have been able to connect with a few people the last couple of years since uh, the famous firing of Gina Carano from The Mandalorian.
Okay.
I was following that on social media for a while, but I'd also been following Dallas Sonye coming into the Daily Wire and his first film with them, Run Hide Fight. I really was entertained by it and I enjoyed it, and so I was really anxious to see what they were going to do next. And then, of course, Gina was fired by Disney from The Mandalorian, and he was posting the story about it. I responded to his story on Instagram saying, "You guys need to do a movie with her." And he replied to me, um, uh, I can't, well, it basically saying sooner than you think in one word. I can't remember
Ah.
exactly the word. And then the next day, it was reported that she had made a deal with the Daily Wire to do a film with them. So I've been following the process of the pre-production, the production on social media of them shooting Terror on the Prairie. I don't know if you've seen that film.
Not yet,
Yeah,
but it's one of those films in the backlog that I
yeah,
really should get around to at some point.
yeah. So I've been following it and kind of just sharing everything about it, just trying to, show people, hey, look at this. These guys are making a movie with Gina Carano, and just basically trying to help get the word out there about it in my own little way. And I'd also been sending some artwork, some of my illustrations and rough sketches to Dallas Sonye, and been connecting to him through email for a while there. And then when it came around time for the premiere of Terror on the Prairie, he said, "Hey, would you like to come see the movie?" I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely." So I got to
Nice.
go. Yeah, I got to go to the premiere in Franklin, Tennessee back in 2022. Met him very briefly. It was very nice getting to meet him. Also got to meet Gina. She was very sweet. I've actually met
Oh,
her.
wow.
Yeah, I've met her twice actually. I met her at the premiere, and then just recently in 2024, I met her at a GalaxyCon in Richmond near where I live here in Virginia. And she was just sweet, just very sweet. But
Mm.
the other thing about that premiere is I met someone that I'd recently connected to on Instagram who had been working with Dallas for a while. A guy from Arkansas. His name's Lee Blaylock. I met him at the premiere and his wife. We'd started, me and Lee had started connecting after a while, and then he said, "Hey, you know what? I'm going to start a writers group. You want in on it?" So I said, "Yeah, man." For a while, we would meet up on Zoom, and then uh, a couple other streaming platforms with other writers that he knew, either people who'd been working in the industry or people who were trying to get in, and got to connect with Kyle through that.
Hmm.
And, I've been mostly connected with Kyle. I mean, a few others here and there, but yeah, Kyle's the one that I've pretty much been talking to for a while now, the last couple of years since we started that.
All
So
right.
yeah, I mean, and then
Hmm.
a couple months ago, uh, I saw that Kyle was going to be on Brawler, and they were talking about Galaxy Quest, which is a
Very fun stream.
big favorite film of mine.
Hmm.
And I just couldn't help myself. I just asked him, "Hey, would it be okay if I sit in on the streaming?" And he said, "I'll check in with him." Next day, he texted and Kyle texted me back and said, "Yeah, F no." And then he said that, just joking, you're in. That's Kyle's little sense of humor, twisted sense of humor there. But yeah, that's how I
Ah,
started going on,
say he
connecting with
is
Brawler.
Kyle is nothing if not consistent.
Yep, pretty much. He definitely has no filter, but that's one of the things that people like about him. But yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's how I got connected to Brawler, and it's been fun. I always like getting to hang out with people who like talking about movies, pretty much as I do, because I can't really talk about anything else other than film.
Really? So that's just
Yeah,
been like an overriding passion for you for the longest time now?
yeah, pretty much ever since I was a kid.
Yeah.
Ever since like started watching films when I was like maybe 5 or something. And I
Hmm.
just was like I couldn't think of anything else just because I'm a very visual person.
Okay.
So that's the only kind of thing that really got my attention.
Okay. So what was it about films in general that really like, you know, wound up catching your attention and, developed into this passion of yours?
Mainly just the stories being able to kind of transport you into those worlds of those films.
Hmm.
Like for the longest time when I was a kid, obviously I grew up watching Disney animated films. So it was like in my mind going into those stories and experiencing it with the characters.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't stop watching those films on a loop. The one film I remember watching the most as a kid had to be Beauty and the Beast, the animated film, and
Nice.
it was like I watched that thing on a loop to the point where I know it annoyed my parents. Just it's like watch the movie one day, the next day I rewind it for 5 minutes, watch it again, and then maybe a couple hours later I'll watch it again. To the point to where I could literally just sometimes I would just be quoting the movies line for line, sound effect for sound effect, character for character, all the way
Nice.
through. And so it was like
Hmm.
it just was a love of visual storytelling and
Yeah.
escapism.
I got a couple of questions for you. The first one is your opinions on Gaston, hero or villain?
Oh, I mean, I've kind of heard some people's arguments about why Gaston's a better character than people think.
Hmm.
And some of them I kind of agree with. Like, well, one thing you can count on is that Gaston would be a provider because he's a hunter.
For sure.
He would be able to go out and get, kill animals, bring in food, and, you know, keep food on the table and stuff like that. Also, he's someone who could protect Belle from like animals if they're out in the woods somewhere. But obviously, he's a narcissist. He's a full of himself bully who just thinks like he's God's gift to everyone. And of course, he can't can't stand the idea of Belle being with somebody else, especially if that happens to be a beast. And he's like, I
Well,
only I'm gonna have her. And
well,
so yeah,
to be
that
fair, the beast did kidnap her.
yeah,
So,
the beast is not, exempt from criticism either. You know.
yeah.
But the difference with him is like at least he grows and realizes his mistakes and changes, because you have a lot of people say how that Beast and Gaston are basically two sides of the same coin. The only difference is that one of them changes, the other one doesn't. I don't know if you've ever watched the YouTube series Cinema Therapy. I watch them sometimes, and they've made
Mm.
a lot of good arguments about like how they're Beast and Gaston are basically a reflection of the same person, but the other one becomes more of a monster when the other one is already a monster, but he changes to something better.
Gotcha. So, was there anything? Well, sorry, I got a little bit ahead of myself there. No, I haven't heard of Cinema Therapy, but I might have to check them out. It sounds like it might be right up my alley.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
they're fun to listen to every once in a while.
yeah, but I suppose more in general, like you said, this was your favorite of all the Disney movies. That's an interesting choice for a young man.
Well,
Is that is
I
there
mean,
anything in particular that really caught your attention?
oh,
So, like,
I don't know why it just was in my mind. I think it's probably the first movie I ever remember seeing.
really?
Yeah, yeah, but
Okay,
also because like the songs were catchy, the animation still holds up,
not
and
wrong.
also as I grew up, I kind of felt I sort of related to the Beast in many
Really?
ways. Yeah, he's a guy who I think he's a character that most people can relate to, a guy who made some mistakes that have really backfired and affected him in the way how he sees himself, both physically but also mentally and spiritually. Like his mistakes are reflected in his physical imagery. You know,
Of
it's
course.
it's like whenever he looks in the mirror, he sees the person that he's become because of all the choices he's made and the all the his spoiled attitude and how
Hmm.
he views other people. But the thing is that there's still a part of him that wants to change. And you got Belle, who the more and more I've thought about it the last few years, it kind of reminds me of the relationship that people have with Christ whenever they they ask for forgiveness and redemption from their sins. And like in a way, Belle kind of becomes like the something of the Christ figure in the story. When you think about it, she chooses to forgive him even though he was abusive towards her, and he allows that forgiveness to change him and his affect his choices about how he wants to be a better person. And then by the end of the story, when he earns her love and he loves her as well, it changes him physically as well. He turns back into a man. And the interesting thing is that the animator for the Beast, Glenn Keane, said how when he was drawing that scene where the Beast transforms back into a man at the end, that he wrote down the scripture that says, "Any man who is in Christ is a new creature, and the old has passed away; all things are made new." And I keep every time I watch that scene now, I think that is the perfect visual representation of what that scripture is talking about right there.
Okay. Interesting stuff. Yeah, I'm not the most religious person,
Mm, that's
but
okay.
yeah, but as yeah, it's not a big deal at all.
Yeah.
So that's definitely not something I would normally go to, is at least as far as my thought process goes when I'm analyzing any piece of media. But
Yeah.
yeah, it does make sense.
Yeah. I
Hmm.
mean, like Glenn Keane, I think is one of my biggest inspirations as far as being an illustrator and a artist who draws and stuff, just because I think he's responsible for some of the most iconic Disney characters in the last 40 years, I believe. It, you know, list is like, he animated Ratigan, Great Mouse Detective,
Love that
the
one.
the Eagle, Marahute, and Rescuers Down Under, uh, Ariel, Little Mermaid, and of course Beast, Aladdin, Tarzan, Pocahontas, Long John Silver, and Treasure Planet. I think the last character he really did for Disney was Rapunzel. He actually was directing Tangled at one point, but he had a heart attack in the middle of production, so they had to give the reins to to these other guys. But
Oh,
he stayed on as a producer and lead animator for Rapunzel.
ooh, he was involved with some really cool stuff like Tarzan and Treasure Planet.
Tarzan's. I'd say I'd say that Tarzan and Beauty and the Beast are tied to be my two favorite Disney animated films. I mean, I love both of them, but Tarzan, of course, came out when I was starting to get into my teenage years. Like, I was or at least just before my teenage years started to come in, because I was 9 when that movie came out. And I
Okay.
still remember the first time I saw the trailers for that film, and you see Tarzan, surfing through the trees and everything. I thought it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen. It was basically the closest thing to Spider-Man I'd ever seen at that point. And I think that was just a few years before the Tobey Maguire films had come out.
Nice. Yeah, that was a really fun time. I remember seeing that in theaters as a kid and acting a complete fool immediately afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah, I was there, man. I was right there too, doing all that, trying to imitate him, his poses and stuff, trying to walk around on my knuckles and stuff. Like, oh, I want to be Tarzan so badly.
Right? Would it be this isolated guy raised by monkeys? Let's go.
Hey, man, he's he's still pretty cool, even for all that stuff. He still gets to fight leopards, still gets to, you know, have all these crazy events, because he also had the cartoon show that came out a couple of years later, and
I
you know,
remember.
yeah, it was pretty cool time to be a boy back then.
Yeah, indeed. So, out of curiosity, how have your movie taste evolved since those times?
I mean, I still love animation. And whenever if there's a new animated film that I hear about that really piques my interest, I'm like, yeah, I gotta check that out.
Okay.
But I still love live action as well.
Hmm.
I like more serious stuff. I've kind of watched a few films over the last few years that were around when I was a kid, but were a little more, you know, I wasn't at the right age for that kind of stuff. But now it's like I've
Gotcha.
gotten into. I'm sorry.
I said gotcha.
Yeah, but like I still try to be a little bit careful with that stuff as well. But I
Yeah.
definitely have also gotten into, you know, a few streaming shows. There's not a lot of streaming shows that I like. Sometimes I'll try them out and then they get a little too weird or too woke, and then I'm just like, yeah, I'm done with this. But
Hmm.
like shows like Tulsa King, uh, The Madison, and Outlander was another one I liked for a while. But
So all those
yeah,
like Taylor Sheridan type stuff.
yeah, a few Taylor Sheridan things, but mostly, I mean, obviously, I wanted to watch Tulsa King because I'm a big Stallone fan.
Gotcha.
Uh,
Yeah.
it's like I always knew about Rocky as a kid, but I never was interested in it until 2006 when Rocky Balboa came out. That was the one he did when he was in his 60s, and I watched it. I rented it from a local library, and I just thought, man, this is pretty cool. This is actually pretty cool. You got this guy who goes in the ring for one last fight, and then I also
Mhm.
see that, oh, not only does Stallone play Rocky, he also wrote and directed it. And then
Yeah.
I saw the bonus features for it, and he starts talking about the other Rockies, and it's like, then I start looking at his resume, his IMDb credits, and finding interviews with him about how he wrote the first Rocky and the story behind that, his struggle as an actor. And I thought, man, this guy is so cool. This is what I'd like to do, is write movies just like him. So he was one of my inspirations for wanting to get into screenplay writing.
Okay.
And now of course they got a film coming out later this year about that whole part of his life. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Which part specifically? Just his his early times writing and directing Rocky.
Yeah, like when he wrote the first Rocky film
Hmm.
and his struggles to get it made, and also I guess like a little bit of the success story that he had after that, but also
Nice.
mainly his struggles as a writer.
Okay. No, I hadn't heard about that yet. Thanks for letting me know. I'll definitely try checking it out when it comes out.
Yeah, I believe
Hmm.
it's called. Right now, the title is "I Play Rocky," and
Okay.
the guy who plays him, I think, is a really interesting choice. He does kind of look like a younger Stallone. He also played a young Al Pacino in the show The Offer. I don't know if you ever
Hmm.
heard of that.
I have not.
It's on Paramount Plus. It's about the It's a series about the making of The Godfather.
Okay. That might be worth checking out. But I don't normally do like streaming services. I'm a bit obsessed with physical media, and I don't really care for subscription services.
Yeah.
I just
I think you might. I think at this point you might be able to find it on a physical copy somewhere because even like Netflix has put out some of their series on Blu-ray and DVD as well, so that
yeah,
way people can watch those if they just want physical media.
yeah. And there are a couple of sources I'm aware of where, like when Andor was coming out, I was like, I don't really want to give Disney Plus my money, but I'll give it to these Chinese guys that'll give me a DVD.
Yeah.
And before the series was even completely out, I managed to get a physical copy of it.
Mm.
So
That's good. It worked out for you.
yeah,
I
it's
didn't
not
really
the
get in. I didn't really get into Andor.
yeah, that's all right. But now these guys are wild. Like recently, I got a physical copy of The Ugly Stepsister. But to
Oh,
show you how janky this particular piece of physical media is, on the front the title is in like Swedish or German.
hmm.
On the sides of the box it's in Chinese, and on the back it's in English.
Wow, man. This sounds a little. I don't know if we want this information getting out.
It's on eBay.
Okay, it's on eBay.
It's fine. But
All right.
sometimes I don't know. I say if, for the sake of preserving art, yeah, I'll I'll, I'll use these guys, especially when it comes to fucking anime.
Mm,
Like the tariffs that have been going on between us and Japan has raised the price of physical media just out of the fucking ceiling. Like for a singular Blu-ray, it'll cost you like between 200 and 400 bucks.
jeez.
And that's insane.
I guess that has a lot to do with the shipping and
Yep.
traveling and stuff like that. That's crazy.
Yep. It's just nutty. So
Here, I
for
thought Japan was our allies.
oh, they are. But the tariffs don't really care.
What's
So
you got a favorite anime show right now?
right now, I say for the past couple of years now, my I've been a bit obsessed with the series Berserk and Kill La Kill. Those are absolutely fascinating stories that like the more you dig into them, the more rewarding it is. I absolutely love them. But this isn't about me. How about you? You got any fun anime series that you enjoy?
Not really. I mean,
Really?
as a kid, I kind of watched a few anime things. I mean, I didn't not a whole lot. I mean, obviously there was Dragon Ball.
Of course.
Whenever because I didn't really. We mainly watched movies. We didn't really have cable.
Okay.
So whenever I was at a friend's house, I would probably watch an episode of Dragon Ball Z on Cartoon Network.
Mm.
But I know the one anime show that I probably watched the most was this Superbook show. Uh,
Super book?
yeah, it was basically a Japanese cartoon for Bible stories for the kids.
Oh.
Yeah, like these little, these kids, a boy and a girl, and the boy's little toy robot would get sucked into
Ah.
this Bible. You seen it?
No, I'm looking at it now. So yeah, apparently we might have been thinking of two different things when we said anime, but this is an animated, like a CG, like
Well,
Bible studies TV show thing.
well, yeah, but you got to go back
6 seasons. God damn.
yeah, but you got to go back to like the 90s and 80s. There was actually a Japanese show, where they did it in anime, and
Okay.
so I would watch that. I was a kid.
Ah, there it is.
Yeah, you found it.
Yeah. Apparently, the first thing that popped up on Google was the 2011,
Yeah,
I guess, spinoff or redo or something.
yeah, it
But
was a
yeah.
reboot.
Okay.
I mean, most people don't really know about that show. offhand, so they don't. It doesn't surprise me that they wouldn't know about the original either. Yeah, you only have to be like, I mean, you have to be like a kid growing up in church, and your
Mm.
parents only let you watch that kind of stuff as a kid. But yeah, I mean, the anime version was the one I grew up with, and honestly, um, every once in a while I might watch an anime movie here or there. I did see the original Ghost in the Shell a while back.
Nice.
Yeah, just because like I saw the Scarlett Johansson film,
Ugh,
but
my
but
condolences.
yeah, I saw that one first, and I was like, okay, I got to see the original one, and then I'm like, yeah, the anime one's better.
For
Like,
sure.
but like at least with Alita Battle Angel, I think most people think that one was better, right?
Talking about the movie or the show?
Well, the movie, I mean, because I also saw a little bit of the show as well, after I watched the film.
Uh, yeah, the movie was a bit. It was one of those things I could take it or leave it.
Yeah,
It's all right.
I know that like Rodriguez took some liberties, especially with like the setting and the
Mhm.
city and everything like that. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, you kind of rush through things a little quicker than I would have preferred, but it kind of happens when you take a whole series and try to condense it into a digestible movie. You just pick out the highlights and yeah, hopefully people like it. But
yeah.
hmm,
I mean, I would like to see a sequel to that, but
yeah, it could be all right.
yeah, yeah. I
Hmm,
mean, mostly as a kid, it was. I know the most popular thing was Dragon Ball Z, so
of
every once in a
course.
while I might see that.
Yeah. So Toriyama's story is fucking amazing, both on the page and in his personal life,
Mm.
because it's genuinely inspiring when you realize that he's just some goofy guy that liked to make weird jokes on in his comics. Like if you look at his original stuff, it's mostly just it's literal shit jokes. And, and this guy went on to inspire millions of people all around the world. And yeah, my God, now he always holds a very special place for me
Mm.
because as we were talking a little bit uh, backstage, uh, so I grew up as a military brat,
Mm.
and so like when we're like 4 or 5 years old is when we have our first real like conscious memories and realize that we were actually alive.
Yeah,
The first thing I ever saw on TV was Dragon Ball Z, and yeah, growing up with it was absolutely amazing. And
yeah,
losing him a couple of years ago, that hit in a special place.
yeah. That's right. He did pass away
Yeah,
recently.
yeah,
I guess like a lot of people, especially like networks like Cartoon Network, and they thought like, well, this is probably one of the few decent animes that we can actually show kids because some of their stuff is either violent and too violent or kind of weird to show kids. But like at least something like Dragon Ball Z is just edgy enough to where you got young teenagers can enjoy it, and also kids can enjoy it as well. Don't feel
yeah.
like don't feel like you're exposing them to anything too inappropriate.
Mm,
I mean,
yeah, I can think of a couple bits in there.
well, maybe like I said, I didn't really. I only watched it a couple of times, so I didn't really see all the episodes. I know
Yeah,
it's maybe the comics. I know the comics were probably a little bit more risque than the show.
yeah, yeah. Especially in the first Dragon Ball series, like there's a couple of bits in there that might be a little inappropriate here and there.
Yeah.
Like after Bulma meets little kid Goku for like the first time, she's sleeping, and he just lifts up her skirt and smacks
Oh,
her on her privates, and be like, "Where's her
oh, that's
penis?"
oh man, that's just messed up.
A little bit, but he's a little kid. He has no idea what a woman is.
Yeah, it's but yeah,
Yeah.
I get Japanese. entertainment culture's definitely got a lot more leeway than it does over here in America.
A little bit, but it's just a difference in perspective. Like, okay, so there's a lot of misconceptions that people have. A lot of people think that like the Japanese are okay. A lot of them are absolute perverts, but they have a real appreciation like uh, for how the human body functions. Like there's whole museums to having proper bowel movements. Like they actually have an annual thing called the Testicle Festival where they
Oh,
celebrate fertility, and like they have whole like stone sculpture gardens of just like handcrafted erect penises everywhere.
oh, yes.
And yeah, it's a little weird, but it's something, it's a very human thing. Like it's something we all have to deal with, and
Yeah.
it's just not an awkward thing for them.
Yeah. It's also like in Europe, the same thing kind of, where they got all those paintings from the Renaissance and sculptures, a lot of nude sculptures and stuff like that. So it's a different culture, and where they're more
Well,
as they're not as uh adamant
conservative.
about. Well, I mean, I don't know about just conservatives one, yeah, but
Yeah.
also like they're not as adamant about like how do we, you know,
Hmm.
market this kind of thing, especially to families and or like kids and stuff like that. I mean, they have things like that, but
Yeah.
for the most part, like classic art and literature, is more for adults than kids over in those kind of countries, in those kind of cultures. Like you look at the original fairy tales that a lot of these Disney animated films are based off of, they're much darker
Oh
in the
yeah.
original format. Like in the original Little Mermaid, the mermaid dies in the end. She
Yep.
commits, she commits suicide.
Kind of. The if I recall correctly, the spell timer just kind of runs out and she turns into sea foam. But she
And
spends her
yeah,
last evening dancing, uh, to show what's his face how much she cares for him before she passes away. Even though apparently just stepping down makes it feel like she's being stabbed with knives in her feet,
yeah,
she still takes the time to show him how much she cares.
yeah. But it's like she also gets a knife from her sisters, saying like if you kill him in his sleep, you can come back and be a mermaid again. So it's like she's about to do it, but she chooses not to and chooses to basically accept her death. So in that kind of sense, it kind of is like suicide in a way.
A little bit,
But
but
yeah, it's a sadder ending, you know.
I would say more self-sacrifice than suicide, but it's a
Okay.
little nuance.
Maybe if you yeah, that is one way to look at it too.
Yeah,
But it's
she's
but it's like
prioritizing. Yeah, she's prioritizing his life over her own,
yeah,
which is something I could find a lot more respectable than somebody who's committing suicide just for any other reason.
I guess that is true. But like
Yeah,
or like the in the Cinderella story, the stepsisters cut off parts of their feet just to put the slipper on, and then at the end they get their eyes pecked out by birds.
true. Yeah, I believe the one sister cuts off her heel and the other cuts off her toes,
Yeah,
which
it was,
yeah, if you ever get the chance, check out The Ugly Stepsister. That movie's amazing.
I may have to eventually. Like
Yeah.
I listened to this really great podcast. It's called um it's I know it off the top of my head. Cinema Origins or cinema. It's a different kind of cinema. It's not cinema therapy, but it's like this
Okay.
guy. He takes films and compares them to the original either book that they're based off of or the mythology that they're based off of, and shows you the similarities, but also the major differences, and of course, he's done like just about all of the Disney animated films and the fairy tales. Right now, he's doing Hercules.
Oh,
So,
nice.
so it's like one of the things you think about. How do you take something like the story of Hercules and market it to kids? That's got some pretty twisted stuff in that story too.
Not wrong. A lot of the Greek myths get real weird real quick.
Yeah, I know.
We're
But
just
it's
going
like,
to ignore Zeus for a little bit.
yeah. But but yeah, I mean, I can appreciate these other cultures and the stories that they have because I've come to find them more interesting than a lot of the more marketable versions that we've done in America. Because most of the people from those countries can't stand our version of their mythologies.
Of course not. I say it's their culture.
Yeah.
So when other people are trying to tell their story and they do it wrong, of course
Mhm.
they're going to be upset.
Yeah.
It's
So
only natural.
I feel really sorry for the Greeks right now.
Oh boy, that one's I have no idea what to expect from this one. I've actually had the unexpected privilege of talking with one of the producers on there,
Oh, really?
and yeah, he wasn't able to share any details of the movie itself, but it sounded like he was waiting for an earthquake to hit, and he just didn't know how bad it was going to be.
Oh, even I guess even some of the people on board are thinking like, I don't know about this.
I say, well, like film crews are fucking massive.
Yeah.
So
Not
yeah,
everyone
yeah,
not everyone has the same mindset as the director.
exactly, like there's a lot of different opinions, even though some folks simply aren't allowed to like share them openly. But yeah, I have no idea what to expect. It's looking like an absolute mess from my end, but at the same time, all the details that I keep hearing about it, I I I'm gonna have to go see it for myself. I don't know what to expect, but we will
Yeah.
sort it out for ourselves.
Yeah. I
How
mean,
about how about you?
another
You excited for it?
not really. Yeah, it's kind of fallen off my priority list of stuff I want to see in the theaters.
Yeah,
Just again because of like the whole casting and also the writing and how like it's not even really based off the actual Homer uh,
yeah, the
poems and stuff.
yeah,
It's
the
based
Iliad.
off,
Yeah,
yeah, it's not based off of all the original writings. It's based off of a new iteration
yeah,
from
that
someone who,
feminist.
yeah,
What's her face? I forgot her name.
Emily Wilson or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, she
Yeah,
got her modern variation of the classic story.
yeah.
So
So I'm just like, yeah, whatever. Um, it's like I could have wanted to see I wanted to see it at first, especially when I heard how like they were going to be using a puppet for the Cyclops instead of
huh,
just yeah, like a giant puppet and maybe a little bit of CGI added in there, but um
weird.
yeah. So I was
You
like,
like
oh,
the
that's
because they had like those that old school stop motion stuff back in the day,
yeah,
but yeah, I don't think that would translate very well nowadays. That
probably
seems like
not.
yeah, it seems like they're little overly reliant on CG in my opinion. And then they came up with this weird Picasso Cyclops looking thing with a sideways eyeball.
Yeah. I mean, that's different. That's different in one way, I guess. But I mean, I don't
Well,
know.
yeah, yeah, I'm sure you've seen it. It's got this weird sideways eyeball. Like we can pull
Yeah,
it
I
up real
know.
quick.
Yeah, I saw the trailer,
Yeah,
but it's like, I don't know. Just there's there's a few other films that have kind of turned up that I've become more interested in seeing. Like, obviously, you got Young Washington coming out for
okay,
July 4th, and then like they also got Whale Fall and uh,
that's looking funky.
yeah, and then Heart of the Beast with Brad Pitt coming out in September. That looks really good. And
Thinking
then
about
again with Street Fighter, that's another one that looks like a lot of fun.
yeah. You
Uh,
think it'll be better or lesser than Mortal Kombat 2?
I think I think it'll be better. It already looks like it's more fun, more colorful, more fast paced, feels
Ah,
more like the video game. Mortal Kombat, both films, when I've tried watching them, they're just kind of boring, you know. There's not enough color, it's too dark, and yeah, I get it. They got the gore factor in there and stuff like that, but that's like the only selling point of those films because of how gory the games are.
mm.
But it's like it feels very stiff, very stale in the cinematography and the imagery. The colors feel all muted out, and I just cannot take Carl Urban seriously as Johnny Cage.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty obvious when they swap between him and his
Yeah,
stunt guy.
it's
But yeah,
like
to be fair, he's in his 50s. He's not be doing
yeah,
backflips.
but it's like
He's no
it's
Terry
like
Funk.
but it's like get somebody like Scott Atkins to play him. He's in his 50s and he's still a great martial artist.
Mm.
You know, I mean, yeah,
It's
he's not known for his acting, but the whole point of something like Mortal Kombat is people go to see the fights. So get somebody who can fight instead of just, you know, getting you know, just an actor with a big name who's also too
ooh,
middle-aged to be taken seriously for that.
you are not wrong. So recently we had The Furious come out. Have you had the opportunity to see that yet?
Not yet, but I plan on seeing it here soon.
Okay. Well, one of the guys in there, you might have seen him in other stuff like The Raid. His name is Yayan Ruyan.
Hmm.
This dude is 57.
I guess he doesn't look it.
No, well, I say he definitely does in his like off-screen photos, but I don't know how tall this fucker is. He's 5'2". God damn. And yeah, this guy kicks some ass. He's what does
Yeah.
he do? Uh,
I mean, some short
trying to
people
think of
can take down big people pretty well. I mean, I saw a video recently of a cop who like you had this tall black guy who just kicked in the door of this hotel and they had to bring the cops in. You got this short I don't know if he's like Hispanic or maybe he's an Asian cop
yeah.
and the black guy was getting all in his face, getting
Mhm.
trying to start some trouble with him, and then this cop just wham knocks him down to the ground with one punch, or at least he throws him off balance, and then he grabs him by the legs, picks him up, and and just dumps him right on the ground so hard until he has to get on top of him to cuff him.
Nice. Well, I don't know if you've seen The Raid, but
Yeah.
there's a scene where he has one of our main protagonists who's like a foot taller than he is, and he's got like 50 pounds plus on him at gunpoint.
Mm.
And he's like, you know what? I'm gonna whip this motherfucker with my hands. And he does. It takes like 3 people to take him down. He's fucking amazing. So yeah, if you ever get the chance, highly recommend The Raid and Furious. They're
I definitely want
absolutely
to check out
amazing.
the Furious just because from what I've been hearing about it, and when I saw the trailer, I thought, okay, this looks like something I definitely would want to watch.
Oh yeah. Now, I know you don't seem to like hyper violence all too terribly much,
I
but
mean, yeah,
this would be worth checking just to see like the new variation that they have on it. Because
yeah.
we've all seen action films done to death.
Mm.
Like I'm sure you and I both grew up on Jackie Chan movies and shit.
Oh
But
yeah, yeah.
but these guys actually tried to come up with something new. So there's a lot of it's not just kung fu. It's like they mixed it up with wrestling and parkour, but they do everything on the ground. And
Yeah, that's from
yeah,
what I've heard about it. It feels more realistic, like it doesn't feel choreographed.
yeah. Although I don't know about how choreographed it feels because there's a couple of bits where like there's no way this would you would have this number of people kind of stack up on each other accidentally. but but yeah, it was definitely worth checking out. I highly recommend. It's an
Yeah.
absolute blast from start to finish, and all I have for it is like the tiniest of nitpicks here and there.
Mm.
But no, it's an excellent film.
Yeah.
And it looks like Enigma Severus just got to check out the death of Robin Hood, so he's got positive reaction to that. That's good to hear. I'll be checking that one out tomorrow.
Nice. Yeah. I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to check that one out here soon too. I mean, I wasn't so sure about it at first, just because I kind of thought like, oh, is this another, you know, another uh messed up reinterpretation of a classic hero, just like trying to make them seem like, oh, they were never really that cool to begin with. But then the
Mm,
more and more I looked at it, the more it became kind of interesting to me. Yeah.
yeah,
It's like definitely a different take on the Legend of Robin Hood,
yeah.
because it's not the first time they've done an older Robin Hood kind of story before. Obviously, they had one long time ago with Sean Connery and Audrey Hepburn.
Mm,
Uh,
yeah.
but
Mm.
like another one I grew up watching as far as Robin Hood was Princess of Thieves. Have you ever heard of that one?
Princess of Thieves. No, I actually don't think I have.
Yeah, that's about Robin Hood's daughter, played by
Ah,
pre Pirates of the Caribbean Keira Knightley.
okay.
It was actually the movie
Oh,
I saw her in that first before Pirates.
all right.
Yes, and like yeah, you probably saw Brawler's review on Mask of Zorro a couple weeks ago.
Of course.
The guy who played Montero, the villain in that
Mm,
film, he played Robin Hood in that film.
okay.
Yeah, it's like basically he gets captured by Prince John trying to put King Richard's son Philip on the throne. So his daughter has to save him and also save the prince. In the meantime, she's also falling in love with the prince.
As you do.
Yeah. And it's a fun little, sort of like ABC TV movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I
But
see
yeah.
on yeah, I see on like IMDb it's got like a 5.6 rating, which is probably
Mm,
fine.
yeah.
But yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah.
There's
It's a nice little story.
yeah.
It definitely was of its time. Obviously, it was like just maybe almost 10 years after Prince of Thieves. So they kind of were sort of still riding on that wave a bit. I mean, obviously, back in the 90s,
Yeah. Yeah, they were exactly 10 years apart.
yeah, obviously back in the 90s, quality of films lasted longer.
So it seems. That's one I've been kind of puzzling over for a little while now. Was like it seems like nothing is terribly memorable nowadays, at least for a lot of people.
Mm,
And I've been thinking a lot about what factors are involved that determine whether or not something reaches like an iconic status. And I'm thinking a lot of older media, like from the 70s, 80s, etc.,
mm,
is kind of like classical literature in that when it starts, you kind of have the opportunity to invent new ideas. And in the case of movies, you have like technology that advances over time. So you got new colors and techniques that you can employ. And those first iterations are often times going to be the most memorable,
mm.
and everything else afterwards is going to be inherently derivative in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
So
Also, because a lot of those original ones, when you look back at them, you can see the imperfections. Uh, You
yeah.
look at you look at something like those old Jim Henson films, or like Never Ending Story,
Mhm.
or you know, Goonies. You see the low budget of those films, or at least how compared to the budget of films today, it was very much lower.
Yeah.
And also because they didn't have CGI like we have today. They relied more on practical effects, so it was much more limited.
God.
But but the
Yeah.
at the same time, you see the hard work that was put into those films, and
Oh,
that's what helped.
absolutely.
Yeah, that's part of what adds to the quality and what keeps it, keeps it in people's memories, even
Hmm.
sometimes the mistakes. But now it's like they try to make everything so clean, so precise, like no, you know, try to keep the flow even and just safe.
Mm. Well, one example of something would be like overly processed to death would be like the newer Marvel stuff,
Mhm.
where movies like Captain America 4 had to
Yeah,
be rewritten completely like 3 times or something.
yep,
And so what we got at the end was like a composite Frankenstein monster of like 4 different movies, and none
yep,
of it worked cohesively.
yep. It felt
Yeah,
like I was watching a CW movie on the big screen.
yeah,
It's like you had all this money put into reshooting it, and it still looked so much more smaller, like a much more smaller budget film than what had come before it. And it
yeah,
just felt so mediocre and just uninteresting to watch.
yeah. Versus something like you mentioned, the Never Ending Story, and Jesus, they had pre-planned the one story that they were going to film out, and they just beat that poor kid to death trying to make it happen.
Yeah, that's terrible. That's so terrible. But
Yeah,
at least now the
um,
kid gets the residuals, I hope.
yeah, hopefully. I don't know anything about that end of things. I normally try to focus on just the writing, but yeah, it could be worth looking into at some point.
Yeah, I mean,
You
like,
know,
because when I'll be honest with you, when at the end of Endgame, when Steve gives Sam the shield, a part of me was like thinking, okay, I think this,
mm,
depending on how they write it out, this could work. But of course, then you got the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and then you get Brave
yeah,
New World, and it's just like, yeah, they messed it up. It could have been a compelling story if they actually got the right person and they didn't make it all about racism and stuff like that. But
yeah,
obviously now I'm just thinking Bucky would have been much more compelling. They wouldn't have had to do a whole lot with that because
no,
it's like it's
no,
just
it felt like they'd been spending the whole
yeah.
like his whole arc was like a redemption story where he would
Mhm.
you know evolve past his history.
Yeah, and they even
And
said that apparently Marvel said to him when they first hired him for First Avenger that eventually he would be the new Captain America. So they basically just took advantage of him.
yeah, they absolutely shit the bed with that character. They did
It's
him
just
dirty.
yeah, they
That's just
did.
wrong.
And now it's like now he's in the new Batman. Of course, now it's up in the air whether he's playing Harvey Dent or if he's Victor Zsasz, but or maybe he's a completely different character altogether.
Yeah, I got nothing. But we will see. So the first one was all right, except for that
Yeah.
weird fourth act. But hmm. but now you got me curious. That any other like we've had a bunch of movies over the past like 10, 15 years or so. Is there any of them that really stuck out to you as having like exceptionally high quality in comparison to the rest of it?
Um, well, most of them are not MCU or Disney related. They're,
Well, yeah.
I mean, definitely one that's gotten to me over the last few years. I mean, it's been with me for over 10 years now, is Secret Life of Walter Mitty
Hmm.
uh, with Ben Stiller.
Yeah.
Just because I really related to that character. I'm kind of an introvert myself, and you see him in the story. He starts off as an introvert, and but then he gets inspired to step out of his comfort zone to go after this photo that he thought he had, he works at Life magazine, and he works with the photos for the magazine. But now it's like the company's being bought out and everyone's getting laid off, and they're they're going to publish what's going to be the last issue of Life magazine, and he's lost the cover photo. So he feels like the only way he can get it is if he finds the photographer who did it, and the photographer, who's played by Sean Penn,
Mm.
is always traveling all over the world. He doesn't have like a solid, like a one address where he lives. He's always traveling. So he has to find out the last place where he was, follow his trail, which leads him at first to Greenland, and then it takes him to Iceland. So he's like, just at first he's like, I don't travel outside of the city, outside of New York. But this girl that he really likes at his job, who's played by Kristen Wiig, says, you should go after him. And so he just finally feels compelled to do it, and you see him going on this crazy uh, adventure trying to find this guy. It turns out the whole time he had the picture in his wallet that this guy sent him as a gift. But it's a fun little movie about like breaking out of that part of you that's afraid to experience new things and have adventures, and it really spoke to me. And then another film over the last 10 years that I've really enjoyed is Chef. Have you seen that one?
I don't think so. Is that the one with uh, the guy who directed Iron Man? I'm forgetting his
Yeah,
name.
yeah, John Favreau.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I was
yeah,
saying, but first thing that came to mind was Farva, but I was like, that's the guy from Super Troopers.
but yeah, it's a fun little movie, and another one about like overcoming overcoming obstacles and struggles. Like
Yeah. Now that I'm recalling, it's about the guy who had the opportunity to like uh, basically it was the choice between following his passion and doing things like the proper business way.
yeah, he's a chef at a five-star restaurant at the beginning of the film, and
Yeah.
he's reviewed by this critic, and he's basically humiliated on social media, and he just, there's a hilarious scene where he's just ripping into the critic who's played by Oliver Platt. Every time I think of Oliver Platt, I'm reminded of the first time I saw him, which was in Beethoven, the first Beethoven film.
Yeah.
And then, of course, also him playing Porthos in The Three Musketeers. But yeah,
Nice.
but you see John Favreau just, cussing him out in front of all these customers in the restaurant. And the restaurant's owner, Dustin Hoffman, is trying to calm him down, get him out of there, fire him at where no one can see him.
Mm.
But then also afterwards, John Favreau's ex-wife, who's played by Sofia Vergara, is like, you know, I can help you get a food truck. My ex-husband can do it. He can get you what you need and stuff like that, and you can be your own boss. And he's like, I don't need any charity from you or your ex-husband.
Mm.
And funny enough, you find out her ex-husband's played by Robert Downey Jr. He has like a quick 1 minute scene in the film. But yeah, it's also about like
$5
John
million
Favreau.
dollar 1 minute.
Yeah. And
Man.
it's like he also gets to reconnect with his son. It's a story about a father and his son being able to connect for the first time in years,
Mm.
but they do it through working together in this food truck. And he rediscovers his passion. And eventually, by the end of the film, the same critic who uh, he cussed out basically tastes the food that he's making in this food truck and is like, no, this is better than what you were making at that other restaurant. Now he's like, let's go into business and start our own restaurant.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's a really fun movie. I mean, because like I watched it a few years ago with my dad, and it's an R-rated film. My dad,
Yeah.
prefers not to watch a lot of films with that have a lot of bad language or excessively violent. But he liked this one because he used to
Hmm.
work for Ecolab, and he had to clean out restaurants, and he knew people like this guy. And there's a part in the film where they're in the food truck, they're driving through Florida, and John Favreau and his son, they're in the back of the truck sleeping, but his friend, played by John Leguizamo, is driving. And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he takes some cornstarch and puts it down his pants.
Okay.
And then the kid wakes up and he sees him. He's like, What are you doing?" He's like, "Oh man, I'm putting some cornstarch on my huevos. It's too humid down here." And the kid turns to John Favreau and says, Dad, Martin's putting cornstarch on his balls." And John Favreau's like, "Can I get some?" So he passes the cornstarch to him. He puts some down his pants.
Yeah.
And then John Favreau turns to his son and says, "Here, you want some?" He's like, "Just put some on your nuts. It's like baby powder."
Yeah. It's like talcum powder. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he says to him, "What's good is like in the morning you can dip your nuts in oil and make hush puppies." And I remember when that line came up, my dad was laughing so hard I thought he was gonna fall out of his chair. That
God.
was the first time I'd ever really heard him laugh like that in a while. So I was like, "Oh my, that is just ridiculous." But it's a core memory, so that's another reason why it becomes one of my favorite films in the last few years.
Well, that is a great reason to. That is a great reason to treasure it for sure.
I know it's weird, but it stands
It,
out.
it's that's just guy shit. Like, it's not a big deal. Like every
Yeah,
now and then, like if it's hot, we've all been there. You
yeah.
got the boys are stuck
Do
to your leg or whatever. Yeah. So you
do what you
you
got to
gotta
do
sort
to
it
stay
out.
hydrated.
Yep. And then as you said, you can deep fry them and show your woman a really interesting surprise.
But yeah, it's a great movie. I think those two films stand out the most for me. You know, and just because I've seen a few other good films, but those ones have really stayed with me the longest, I think. Uh, Even like as far as streaming goes, haven't really seen a whole lot of films. I mean, a few here and there, but I can't remember them off the top of my head that
All
were
right.
from streaming that actually were pretty good, better than I thought they would be. But yeah, this is mainly
Okay.
those two.
Hmm. Okay. Now I'm curious to see, like, when it comes to writing in films and your own experience with them, like, can you tell us a little bit more about like the little writing group that you got involved with and how? Uh, what's up, Blue? You fucking
Oh,
asshole.
oh, is that your
uh,
dog?
no, blue collar losers in chat right now. Recently, he was up on another stream, tossing a lot of shit my way for about 25 straight minutes.
Oh, yeah.
It's all good.
Well,
Uh,
yeah. Go ahead, and finish your question.
Now, I was say basically just like what kind of ride experience do you have with this group, and what qualities are you looking for when it comes to like good writing in a movie?
Well, as far as like the writers group, it's mainly more like we kind of get together to kind of hear what we're working on, whether it's something that we're doing independently or if it's an actual project in the industry. Some of them, some of the people in our group are actors. Like one of them is this guy who was the camp counselor in Camp Rock, uh, Daniel Fathers. He's a really cool guy. He was in the Pendragon cycle. That
All right.
was how he got into our group because the guy I mentioned before, Lee Blaylock, he was one of the writers on Pendragon cycle. So he got to meet him through that and brought him into our writers group that way. But mostly it's just us getting together to try and inspire each other to keep working at it, especially if we're not in the industry, which I'm not,
Okay.
just basically encourage each other to, keep going, keep uh, developing your style of writing, your talent, finish what it is that you're writing, because if
Okay.
and
And and out of curiosity, like, have you been able to come up with any, or have you been able to finish any projects that you're working on?
um I did manage to finish the first draft of something I've been working on for a while now.
Okay.
I'm still in the process of trying to get the second draft done. It's
Okay.
just a personal idea that I'd like to try and pitch here soon when I'm done.
Oh, okay. Cool deal.
But like most of the stuff I've done in recent years is like storyboard. Like I did this one project a few years back for Travis Mills, who is another guy who worked on Pendragon Cycle, did a couple of was also an actor in the the movie Terror on the Prairie with Gina Carano.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, uh, he's a filmmaker who does a lot of westerns, and I reached out to him one time, and he said, "Well, he said that I'm actually planning on publishing a script that I wrote as a book, and I'd like storyboards for that." So I did that a while back. You can find it on Amazon. It's called Arizona Ambush.
Okay.
It was the first real job I'd had, paying job for doing something like that. And so if you happen to come across it and you see my artwork, it definitely feels kind of out of place with his writing, because his writing is much more serious, edgy, grittier. My style of drawing looks more like a Disney cartoon.
Yeah, I got you. And what was the author's name again?
Travis Mills. He
Gotcha.
recently just had a film come out, Frontier Crucible, with uh, Army Hammer and William H. Macy, and the guy who was the Punisher back in the early 2000s, Thomas Jane. It was like it was a nice little film. Just a small western about like these people stranded in the middle of nowhere um, trying to survive, and also trying not to kill each other.
Okay.
It was
Yeah.
also produced by Dallas Saunier, so another project of his. It was a fun little movie. I definitely recommend checking it out.
Nice. Yeah, might just have to. But fucking hell, my schedule's been nutty recently. But yeah, I'll definitely write that down and throw it on the backlog.
And
God.
I know I think there was another film that Travis Mills wrote recently. Is
Yeah.
sorry, what were you about to say?
I was gonna say, like, I think I found the book for you said it was Blackbird, Arizona Ambush.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I found that on Amazon. So I will drop the link in chat if anybody wants to see.
Yeah, you can find it on there, and if let me know what you guys think. If you think the artwork actually matches the writing, which when I think about it, it doesn't really do that, but that's my style. So, and I was happy for the job. Thankfully,
No,
Travis was also uh pretty good about it too. Yeah.
very cool. But I was going to ask you earlier, like, when did you start doing storyboards, and what inspired you to do that?
Oh, I've been drawing ever since I was a kid,
Hmm.
and it was mainly because like seeing all the bonus features of Disney animated films, especially more specifically the bonus features for The Incredibles, seeing all the storyboards for that and the animatics and how they factored into the writing and the screenplay. It just made me like, what, that's what I like to do, is draw out scenes for movies. And
Okay.
I always wanted to get involved with that. I mean, it never really took off, but I've always been practicing my artwork, and last few last few years I've been practicing with Procreate now more than ever. Been working on the little illustrations for a book that a friend of mine has been writing. I'm trying to get like the last few done here soon for him.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
just a little. little children's book. Nothing too serious, but yeah. And yeah, I've been debating on like trying to maybe get into drawing my own comics or something like that.
Well, if you don't wind up doing your own, I got a few ideas. It could be worth
That's cool.
talking about later.
Yeah, that would be interesting to talk about.
Yeah.
But yeah, mostly, uh, yeah, mostly trying to, been always wanted to do that just because I always thought that looks like a really fun job. You get to be a part of the writing process of the story because you see like all these animated films, the director, the writer, and the storyboard artist are always in the same room going over going over a scene and trying the storyboard artist is trying to get the visual layout of the scene so
Mm.
that way the animators have something to work with. They know how a scene is supposed to play out and how they can expand on it and improvise it. But also it's a lot of experimenting. It's a lot of going back and forth and like, oh, maybe this could work, or maybe we could do this and that's better. And especially when I saw the bonus features for The Incredibles, seeing Brad Bird in the same room as the storyboard artist Mark Andrews,
Mm.
just the how they were kind of working off each other, throwing ideas around. It looked like a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure. Like, especially when you have the opportunity to collaborate with a bunch of other folks and see the evolution of the story evolve over time.
Yeah,
It's really fun stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's another favorite of mine, The Incredibles,
Yeah.
especially the first one.
First one was good. The second one catches a lot of flack, but I really liked it too, especially the relationship between the dad and Violet.
Yeah, I mean I definitely prefer the first one. I mean, there's some things about the second one I'm okay with, but overall, I think like the movie just feels a little too flawed. And from what I've heard, I think the studio kind of rushed Brad Bird with that one, like trying to be like, well, let's try and get this out as soon as possible. And
Given that's what was it like 10 plus years between between them?
I think it was 18.
Yeah, it's fucking
Yeah,
forever.
yeah.
Uh, yeah, that's
But it's like
incredible.
it's basically just the same story as the first one, just with the roles switched around, which honestly, I kind of think. Oh,
Yeah, it's
also,
14 years.
yeah. Also, I didn't like the villain. I thought like the that character was the wrong choice to be the villain. I
Mm,
thought like it would have been more compelling if the brother, who's played by the guy from Better Call Saul,
yeah.
Bob Newhart. I think he should have been the villain. Like you find out he's the screen slaver and he's trying to basically, I think what it could have been is like he's freeing all these other supervillains from a max prison. Like you would have villains like Bon Voyage show up, and also like he's working with the Underminer,
Mm.
stuff like that. So that character comes back into play, and just basically letting all these villains wreak havoc. So that way, there's a demand to bring back superheroes. And he thinks he can control them with this, hypnotizing technology, but of course it all backfires on him and everything like that.
Okay. It's actually
I
not a
think,
half bad idea.
yeah, because it's like the whole thing where the sister's trying to basically keep superheroes illegal by, um, making them seem like the bad guys and stuff like that. It's
Mm.
like, well, they're already illegal.
Yeah.
If you already feel that way about it, why are you going along with this whole charade? I mean, like you could basically have broken away from your brother's company and be like, hey, no, let's protest against this and keep superheroes illegal.
Yeah. Well, say if I recall correctly, the reason that she's working with her brother is because she wasn't able to, like, she just doesn't have the people skills to make things work on
Yeah.
her own. Like, that's where he definitely excels.
Mm.
And so while she's like the the brains of the operation. He's the face because he can actually deal with people. He's very personable.
Yeah.
People like him, and
Yeah.
in that way,
Yeah.
they're very effective together. They just have that one major disagreement.
Yeah. The other thing I would have changed is like you see that the sister has kind of been pushed out of the company by her brother, and now she's like he's basically isolated her in this fancy house where he has a doctor keeping her on drugs and something like that, so she can't try and speak out against him in the media, stuff like that. But
Hmm.
he's using her technology to, try and control these supervillains.
Hmm.
So just because I thought like that would have made it more compelling is like the superheroes are already illegal. If you want
Yeah.
to bring them back, you got to give the government a reason as to why they would make them legal again. And it's like the most logical thing is like, well, supervillains are running amok. The supervillains don't care about the law. They're gonna
Yeah.
break the law anyways. And then like uh, you would also see superheroes auditioning, and of course, Dash and Violet would want to get involved as well. And that's another thing that a lot of people, including me, didn't like about what they did with Dash. It's like he's just kind of there to be an annoyance and
Hmm.
yelling all the time. But it's like if you have him trying out for this new superhero program against other older, taller guys
Yeah.
with super speed, now it's like he has to compete against somebody else who can actually, give him a run for his money. Now it's like he's not the only special kid on the team anymore. He's having to actually push himself, which
That
would,
that is a great character arc for him to go on,
yeah,
because that was like his whole deal in the first one was just trying to find his own place in the world
yeah,
and really like understand it. And so like he always wanted to, to like use his abilities just openly and be
mhm,
honest and accepted.
yeah,
But yeah, he never really got tested on an emotional level. And something
yeah,
like that would be really, that would, yeah, a lot of people would be able to like really identify with him if he went through that particular journey. So yeah,
yeah.
that's a good idea.
And then also like with Violet, I didn't like how they, you know, undid the whole thing with the boyfriend with Tony like
Yeah.
wiping his. I thought that took away from what they could have built on, how she overcame uh her shyness in the first film. So it's like, don't like I wouldn't he wouldn't even see her in her suit at the beginning of the film. So they would still go on the date, and something happens where she has to use her superpower. She has to change into her outfit, but then after she stopped this disaster from happening, he kind of sees her sneaking off into an alleyway, sees her then, and then now she's like, "Oh no, what's he gonna do? How's he gonna react?" And
Mm,
then he's like, "That was you fighting all those bad guys with the invisibility and the force field." And like, that was so cool. That's
mm,
amazing. He's like, "Wow, the girl I'm dating is a superhero." And she's like, "Wait, you're not freaked out by this?" "No, I think it's cool." Oh, and he's like, "Oh, don't worry, I'll keep your secret." And even like and then he's like, "Wait a minute, your dad's Mr. Incredible?"
mm.
Oh,
Yeah, it'd be fucking terrifying from that perspective.
yeah.
Like,
And then like, of course, it would be all over the news, which means her parents see it, and of course she's scolded by her mom, and the dad is like waiting for them when they drive up to the house after the date's over, and it's like, "Get in here, young lady, we need to talk."
mm.
And but then as Bob's going back into the house, Tony's like, "Oh, Mr. Incredible." He's like, "What?" Hey, he knows his identity, and he says,
Mm.
"You can trust me. I'm not going to say anything. And plus, I think your daughter's really amazing." He's like, "Huh, I like this kid."
It now immediate first thing that came to mind was a sketch comedy video with
Hmm.
a guy named Mr. Obnoxious. At one point, his daughter is going out with her little boyfriend. You're just going out for lunch or something, and she basically said to him like, "Oh yeah, that thing's going really well. I'm sorry, my dad's being so super weird." And camera kind of pans out a little bit. Her dad is just right next to his face, just staring, just mean mugging it, and like point blank range. He's like, "Nah, I totally get it. You know, you're very special to him." At one point, you know, kid gets a little comfortable, reaches across the table, holds her hand a little bit. Dad reaches over, grabs his hand, takes it right off.
Oh wow!
Now imagine
that's
that,
pretty funny.
but the guy has superpowers.
Yeah, but yeah. I just kind of thought like there's a much better way to tell this story. I get it. I get what they're trying to do with like you know Bob. You know, like they could still have the story about like how Bob's kind of sidelined, but
Hmm.
it's not like it's not like Helen and Frozone aren't just because Frozone, I think they could have had him be involved with Helen's escapades, but like
Well, for sure. Like
yeah,
the whole reason that she was brought out to begin with was because Bob's powers were a bit more destructive.
yeah,
So just for the
but
sake
it's
of safety and public relations, like Frozone would be fucking cool.
yeah, but it's like you'd have a scene where it's like after all their successes, you have all these younger superheroes basically trash talking Bob behind the scenes, and so that kind of gets under Helen and Frozone's skins, and they're like, hey, yeah, he's not perfect, but he saved a lot of people, and if he
Mm,
were here right now, if people gave him the chance to actually try and make up for his mistakes, he'd
yeah,
prove you all wrong, and
yeah.
then like
Like he laid the foundation that you guys are going to build on. You guys
yeah.
got to appreciate that.
Yeah. And then like the way how the film would end is like you have all of them teaming up to fight all these villains and but then of course you have another thing is like you actually see the politicians who are against bringing superheroes back because you never really see them. You only hear about it. But
True. A lot
yeah,
of like political banter gets boring for people pretty quick, but
yeah. You
could
kind of
be
have to
interesting.
see it. You kind of have to see at least a little bit of it. Like
Yeah. You
some
like
polit
you need people to like articulate why they're against it.
yeah.
Like I get it, these people are cool and interesting, but there's a legitimate reason why they were outlawed to begin with, and that's something
Yeah.
that we can actually like go back and forth about.
Yeah.
It's very
But
yeah.
then like but then at the end of the film after they've beaten all the villains, like you'd have this one political figure stepping out in front of everybody saying, it doesn't matter that they stopped all these villains. These people are still just as dangerous as
Mm,
the people that they fight. But then you hear a voice from the crowd saying, no, these guys actually did some good, especially Mr. Incredible. And you turn to see this one guy coming out of the crowd, and you find out that this is actually that guy from the first film who jumped off the building, tried to commit suicide, that he saved and ended up taking him to court. And then he basically says how like to Mr. Incredible, I am so sorry for all that I put you through. You saved me and you kept me from making a huge mistake. He
mm.
said how like I I did it out of selfishness because of all the mess that was going on at home with my job and I just wanted it all to be over with. But then after you saved me and it's like I finally was able to keep my family together, get a better job because of all the publicity and the news, but I ruined your life. I ruined your life, and you if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here. So
Yeah.
I feel so horrible,
Mm.
and I
Yeah,
apologize,
very
and I hope you forgive me.
very you saved my life and I ruined yours.
Yeah. And it ends with him and Mr. Incredible shaking hands, and then of course the superheroes are legal again. I think that that would have been as I get how it feels a little convoluted the way how I was describing it, but I
No.
think
No. No, you did an excellent job there.
yeah,
And yeah, this is one of the reasons why I wanted to bring you on is stuff like that because you have a really good head on your shoulders, dude.
I appreciate that, man. Thank
And
you.
yeah, like Absolutely. I genuinely want to support the hell out of you.
Thanks.
So yeah. So
I
thank you
appreciate
very
that.
much for joining me.
Thank you for having me on, man.
Yeah. Yeah, that was really cool. Yeah, well, if we ever get the chance to actually like talk shop about stories and stuff that maybe you're working on or stuff that I've been kind of tinkering on the stage, I'm sure we could come up with something really cool.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be really cool to hear what you got. And definitely like to brainstorm a few ideas of my own with you if you'd be interested.
Yeah, for sure. Well, damn. I don't even know if we can come up with a better ending than that.
Yeah,
So
I think that is a pretty good ending.
yeah. So by chance, do you have any other projects that you're working on here in the near future? Any streams you'll be joining with maybe Brawler or somebody
Well,
else?
yep. I just reached out to Brawler uh, earlier this week about that Searchers streaming he's going to be doing next week, so I'll be on there.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Very cool.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. One of my favorite John Wayne films, The Searchers. Of course, my all-time favorite one with John Wayne is Rio Bravo.
Okay. Very cool. Well, I'll definitely see you there. I'll be
Yep.
moderating the stream, keeping everybody safe. But yeah, that was really a nice, fun, pleasant conversation. Again, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you for having me
And
on, man.
yeah, maybe one of these. I got a lot of plans upcoming in the future. If you'd ever like to join me in discussing any movie in particular that we'll be covering, you are more than welcome to join me.
Let me know whenever you want to do it.
Will do. Thank you very much for joining me again. And all one person in chat right now, thank you very much. Because genuinely, like you guys could be anywhere else on the planet right now, spending time with literally anything else. But even if it was just for a few moments, you guys were over here. And that really genuinely means a lot to me. So again, thank you very much. I hope you all enjoy the weekend. I'll be starting soonish. And yeah, again, best wishes to everybody. Y'all take care.
Take care, guys.